Hey everyone, this is Michael for Spirit Comics. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please do subscribe and smash that bell like She-Hulk so you don't miss any new uploads. Also, this is a review of Metaphase number 2. If you do enjoy it, please do drop a like, a thumbs up, and also share it with others who might enjoy it as well. Don't forget to leave a comment. Now, this is the last issue of Metaphase, and I'm kind of glad. Because issue 2 is basically issue 1 used again. See, it is a sort of a homage to Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 300, I believe. But come on, it's kind of, I don't know, cheap to use the same concept, same cover concept twice. That's just my feeling. I mean, the first one, he's just a normal kid going through life wearing a cape. The next one, he's not a normal kid, he now has powers. That same creative team, Chip Reese, the creator and writer, Kelly Williams, who does pencils, art, and Peter Simeti does edits. He's the owner of Alterna Comics. Now, it starts off in a morning where his dad is coming into Ollie's room. You know, Ollie is the kid on the cover. And he wants to tell him that, he wants to talk about the picture that he showed to him the other day, which was of them both wearing costumes. I mean, superhero suits. And he just wants to say that, he doesn't want him to get hurt. And he even says that he thinks that he could seriously run circles around him with the big brain of his, trying to make him feel better, while at the same time his son is feeling hurt. But then he makes this weird request. Ollie does. Dad, you know that necklace that Grandma gave you when you were a kid? And he says, the one with my baby tooth? Haha, yep. Could I wear it? Now, why in the world would he want to do that? I mean, that's a strange request. And his dad says, that ugly thing? Really? And then he goes, please. And the dad says, that sweet face could be your superpower. Oh, alright. And he goes, woohoo! Because he got what he wanted. And it's been established that so far he doesn't have any superpowers. But look how fast he runs around the room. And look how fast he talks. It's like he already has super speed. I'm gonna go outside and ride my skateboard around. Okay, so that's what he tells his dad. And his dad says, don't go too far, okay? And Ollie says, okay, thanks, bye. So he's moving at really fast speed, so he could be a speedster. So instead of going outside, Ollie goes to his dad's closet, gets the tooth, and sees that there's something in his dad's cape, because his dad is the Sentinel. And he puts it in his backpack, heads out the door, and says to his mother, bye, Mom, I'm going for a ride. Okay, be careful, sweetie. So, he's lied not once, but twice, and he took his father's baby tooth. Now, his father did say that he could wear it, but he did not say that he could go get it. That was not established in the pages. And it says a few kick flips later at Metamakers. That's where Ollie went. He went because he wants them to give him some powers, because he obviously saw the commercial that said they could give powers. And he makes the comment, well, I have an extra copy of my 21st chromosome. I could be the greatest superhero you've ever made. And she says, I'm sorry, sir, but we can't help you. He says, please, I just want a chance. And then this doctor comes out, who's a really nice character. He says, well, hello there. What seems to be the trouble? And the receptionist tells him in a hushed voice, he says he has extra chromosomes. Now, why would that matter? What's your name, little buddy? Ollie. Sir? How about I show you around for a bit? Really? Of course. And so, while they're walking, the doctor apologizes for the way the receptionist acted. And and Ollie shows him the tooth. He even gives him the baby tooth of his father's, that he five-fingered, stole. A tooth? How about we just take some blood? And he says that he doesn't like needles. But for all we know, he could have been impervious to needles. He says, I see. Well, he's gonna take the tooth and run it through a DNA analysis. And he asks him to wait. So it says a few hours later, that same critter that he found in his dad's cape, they put inside of his backpack, starts buzzing. And he just watches as it gets out of his backpack and flies away. And he runs after it, which is kind of strange. And he sees, and Ollie's watching, because between the door and the edge there, and he's listening to him talk. And this is the guy who runs Metamakers. He's also the villain from the first issue. And he says, Mark saw it's incredible that the DNA came from a superpowered source. But he's amazed it's just a boy that has Down syndrome. And then he figures out it's the DNA of the Sentinel, the guy he hates. He says, "Bring me the boy." And so the doctor sees him and says, "Sorry, kid." Instead of being mad, noticing that the kid is eavesdropping, he says, "Sorry, kid. Looks like my boss has a few loose screws. Or a few screws loose. I don't know where you got that tooth, but you need to get out of here." He says, "Yes, sir." So he leaves. And this guy, who's the head of the Meta joint, Metamakers, he takes the tooth and mixes it with something else that gives him the very powers that Ollie's dad has. And this is strange here. I think, I don't know why it says pop, but I'm guessing that Ollie tripped over something. It's kind of confusing to me. Then we see the evil guy go, "Yes!" Where he's feeling all of the powers, course through his veins. And Ollie's just, laying there on the ground, like, for unknown reasons. Then he gets up and starts walking. And he says to someplace, "May I use your phone, please? It's an emergency." And so he calls his dad, who's at home, working on the lawnmower. And here's the dad's phone. But this is something I find very important. We are not shown that the father picks up the phone. And next we see kaboom! Before we can find out that Ollie has indeed told his father what's going on. So, over on the other page, Ollie walks out. He sees this big cloud of smoke, and he sees someone streaking across the sky, and he says, "Dad!" So he immediately presumes that it's his dad. And strangely, it is. You know, it's the bad guy from Metamakers holding his dad and throwing his dad to the ground. Thud! So, it's not even established in the book that his dad was informed of what was going on. But yet, there he is. And he says, "Why are you doing this?" And he says, "Because I can, you worthless has-been. This is the end, Sentinel. Any last words? Stop!" Well, I'm going to say, you know, he should have had a costume, a suit. He says, "Don't hurt my dad." And he says, "Dad? Ha ha, you must be the boy that brought me that tooth. Please, you're killing him." He says, "Come on, Dad, fly us out of here." I can't. And I'm really not sure why. You know, the tooth gave this guy the same powers of his dad, so if two people are going up against each other and they both have the same type of powers, then technically neither one should win. Anyways, and he says, "I came to tell you about him." He says he's absorbing the energy around him, even my powers. So that's something this character should have said, you know, a few pages ago, that he's absorbing everything, even his father's powers. And to say goodbye, "I love you so much, Dad." And then we see the bad guy blast Ollie. He says, "Ollie!" He says, "Ah ha ha ha." He says, "What's this?" "No, why would you do that?" And then here's where it gets confusing for me. Okay, what is this here? Are these atoms or what is this? I don't understand. There's nothing here to tell me what's going on. Then over on the opposite page we see skeleton. Then there's more there's muscle surrounding the skeleton. Then we look again and it's Ollie. So evidently the bad guy blasted Ollie, killed him, I think, and then he reforms. Okay, because then we see this, which is a pretty good drawing. And then 2 pages over, because, you know, skip that ad. He says, "What happened?" And here's where something actually gets explained. The bad guy says, in hindsight, blasting you with powers derived from your father's DNA may not have been the best move. But I'll worry about that after I finish off dear old Dad. Now, in comic books, when something complex like this happens, it's a good idea to explain what's going on. Then we see Ollie do this, and he's firing something at him. My guess, it's dark matter, but I'm not sure. He's firing, pellets of dark matter, because all of a sudden you see this rupture open up, and it's to the universe. And then somehow there's the bad guy, there's Ollie. No more! Somehow Ollie sends the bad guy into outer space. And I'm not exactly sure how this is accomplished, because it's not explained here. So he said he's still here on Earth, and he's saying, you know, Dad, are you okay? You saved me. I'm so proud of you. And he says that use that noggin of yours. You won't stand a chance. I'll try. And so I'm not sure exactly where this is. It looks like it's still on Earth, because you actually see some sky in the background. But he says, okay, well that tickled. And then he says, I never thought that him having an extra chromosome would be unique to him having his own powers and such. And he says, I don't suppose you'd be willing to work with me. Never! Yeah, well, every decent villain has to ask no matter. Please, you don't have to do this. And he says, yes, I do. And so, you know, I really don't understand what the purpose was of opening this rupture to space, because I don't see that anything actually went out in there of consequence. I mean, something went out there, but I don't know what it was. And then I hate to say this, but there's a plot is created here. It says, once you and Daddy Dearest are out of the way, I'll start charging cities around the world for my protection. With an endless supply of metas at my disposal, I'll use my new skills to take their abilities and become a superpowered gene pool. Okay, now I don't know if the writer Reese knew about this or not. Maybe he didn't. But this plot here was actually in Batgirl Rebirth quite some time back. So, you know, he could have honestly not been aware of it. But I recognized that when I read these two panels, I thought, that's from Batgirl. But I'm not saying I'm not saying anything one way or another. Just that this reminded me of a plot from Batgirl quite some time back, and you know, it stood out to me. And it says, gene pool. You know, that has a nice ring to it. And Ollie says, gene pool? Really? Original. And he says, everybody's a critic. And I think it would have been better if the bad guy at least had some sort of suit. How's this for original? But I don't think there was time to get him one. And then he makes this big building crumble on top of Ollie. And that's the end of that, he says. Now he says, while we're on the subject of names, I think Metaphase sounds pretty cool. Yeah, it does, but again, his powers are not explained. It seems that Ollie phases out of existence when the bad guy comes at him. Yeah. And then he re-phases in outer space. I'm not exactly sure how in the world that happened, because the moment the bad guy touched him, he was sent to space. And he's holding his breath because, there is no oxygen in space. Or at least the one we know of. And probably this one as well. And Ollie is phasing back into a solid form. And he says, "My turn." And I'm not exactly sure what he does here, but he fires what at this big asteroid? I'm not sure. I'm confused. And the bad guy is holding his breath, and a rupture is opening in space, and this is that asteroid coming through, and then is there a does it collide with this planet, or and then we see this page, because I have no idea what's going on here, but the artwork is really good. It's kind of beautiful, because this gives me the impression that this planet is sort of, it's like lava in a way. And then a few days later, they're talking, and Dad says you're grounded forever. But everything's cool between now, and Ollie asked, "Do you think Gene Pool is gone forever?" And then we see this, and the father saying, "Yeah, I wouldn't worry about him." And then it seems that somehow Gene Pool is back on Earth, and his flunky from issue 1, let me see here, because the red-haired flunky, the guy who is the big bad, but was actually just a stooge. Yeah, it's this guy. That guy is the one who's sitting behind the console saying, "Hello, boss." Now, this type of beard growth looks more than just a few days. That looks like a few months. Although I could be wrong. It says the end for now. And that's my review of Metaphase number 2. And I'm thankful it's number 2, because I don't want to see another Metaphase story. This one was far too confusing. There was little explanation in the story of what was going on. And I know the explanation is not always important, but when you have a character who has new powers, and you have multiple characters that gain new powers, we as the readers need to understand what's going on, and that really was not explained in here. So I can recommend this because it's the second part of a 2-issue limited series on that basis alone, and on the basis of the beautiful artwork, and on the basis of some of the story. It was I think given time, Metaphase could become what Superman and John Kent were to each other during the Dan Jurgens run of Action Comics and the Peter J. Tomasi run of Superman. But right now, this is just getting started. So, if Chris Reese, if Chip Reese pursues this comic book, I hope that he works on the character development between the father and son, and also including the mother as a strong character too, just like Lois Lane is to Clark and John. So overall, it wasn't a bad second issue. It was enjoyable, but I do wish that the cover had been different, since it was basically just a copy of issue 1, just different background, different picture, different clothes. But it's the same exact pose. I wish the cover had been different. So, anyways, I did enjoy it. What did you guys think of it? Did you go out and buy it? It wasn't a bad read for $1.99. And I have to say, Alterna does have better price points than Marvel or DC. That's why they're going to get the business. They have better stories, better creators, writers, artists, and better prices too. And all because they don't charge so much like the big two. Yeah, it's newsprint, but that's what comic books used to be printed on back in the 1980s. It seems people have forgotten that little fact. So, if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe. Smash that notification bell like She-Hulk. And don't forget to drop a like and share this with your friends, family, pets, neighbors' pets, anybody who you think would enjoy it. And also, don't forget to leave a comment below. Till next time, true readers, I'm Michael for Spirit Comics.